Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital address GA0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. Is also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telesol 4G, proudly Ghanaian. Telesol, just a touch. And Mark Autoparts Ghana, distributors of Isuzu and Chevy cars. Mark Autoparts Ghana, with you for the long run. In this edition, chaos on the KNUST campus as hundreds of students protest Vice Chancellor's crackdown on hall practices. We'll get the latest as military personnel are called in to curb violence there after students vandalized property.
Damn it on campus radio that these will not be healthy, but the university vice chancellor is trying to be, very arrogant and autocratic. Look at what is happening.
We'll also hear from university authorities. Joy News investigations uncover identity theft in the posting of national service personnel across the country.
I tried logging in, and I got to know that somebody has impersonated me, used my details to register.
We'll tell you how index numbers of hundreds of teachers on study leave have been used by fraudsters to enroll on the National Service Scheme. 36-year-old cleaner in Tema School jailed 2 years in prison for sexually abusing a 7-year-old boy there. We'll get to hear from the victim as he describes his painful experience.
I told him that he's paining me, and he said I'm lying. It's not paining me, and he said she'll finish right now.
We have sports.
And Black Queens coach Bashir Hayford has described as favorable yesterday's Africa Women's Cup of Nations draw, where they will play Algeria, Cameroon and Mali in Group A.
I say it is GAM because GAM, Ghana, Algeria, Mali. So it's very GAM.
It is GAM indeed. And later in the bulletin, President Akufo-Addo reacts to claims about his ill health on social media.
My presence at the brief visit to the military hospital yesterday to visit my brother-in-law has been translated into my collapse. Those whose political fortunes depend on my ill health, all I can say is that we're all in the hands of the Almighty. Amen.
We have details and more here on the Midday News with me, MFA Apau. Details shortly. Sounds and scenes of chaos at the KNUST campus as hundreds of angry students today protested against what they describe as oppression from school authorities. The students, clad in red attire, mounted roadblocks on campus and prevented some of their colleagues from attending lectures. The students were reported to be on a procession last Friday and clashed with the school's private security guards. According to them, the security personnel assaulted many of them, whom have been hospitalized. My colleague Erastus Asari-Donko reports that hundreds of the angry students destroyed school property and vehicles at the KNUST main administration block. Military personnel have been called in to curb the violence at the KNUST. We'll get to speak to Erastus Asari-Donko shortly, but first, listen to some of the students giving reasons why the situation has come to this.
Happening is too unfortunate. We all wanted this demonstration to be very peaceful. But the way things are going, it is actually getting out of hand. Look at how they have vandalized the administration and all that. I mean, the university, when this whole issue started, we condemn it on campus radio, that these will not be healthy. But the university vice chancellor is trying to be, very arrogant and try to be autocratic. Look at what is happening. We condemned it from the start. So I think that the president of the republic, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, should come in. He should not just issue directive and say that the issues should be solved by people. He should come in himself, because what is happening currently on campus is absolutely unfortunate. Look at a whole lot of issues. I mean, if this issue is not solved, if they don't reverse the decision of the University Council, if they don't reverse the decision of the University Council, we are going to see more of this, and I'm not too sure it will end anytime soon.
So the students also raised concerns about how first-year students are being allowed to take decisions for the entire student body.
Per our SRC constitution, even if you are a continuing student with an average of 55, you are eligible to run for any election. 55 would trail you can't run for any election. So if you have a 60 and 1 trail, you can proceed with any other election. So the rule says that if you don't have an average, you can't run for CWA because you don't know academic standing. So last semester, some group of students were duly elected as various hall executives, but because of the tyranny from the VC and the dean of students, they don't want the continuing student to go to their post and execute their charges as hall executives, or in the name and the fear that these executives might channel down the tradition of these halls back to these fresh ones. So in their quest to curb the activities of these elected leaders, they've stripped off the powers from these leaders and they've instated first years as hall executives. So now first year is writing a communique on behalf of a hall he barely knows, a hall he has just resided in for just 2 months. This is not in tandem with our constitutional provision, so therefore this cannot hold because they are spitting on the very power that's giving us authority as an SRC to act. Therefore, we the student will never agree. That's how you are seeing all that you are seeing. So basically, this is another reason, and into the brutality. That's why we are having this unrest.
You heard there some students of the KNUST. Now my colleague Erastus Asari Donko joins us on the line with more. So Erastus, walk us through the situation on the ground as we speak.
Well, currently the situation, I must say, is seemingly calm, but we have thousands of students still gathered at various points as we speak. They brought in some beef up, I must say military contingent to beef up what they have here. A short while ago, 2 pickups full of armed military men came in, and the students, as they are doing in the background at the moment, booed and cheered and all that. And they are now moving from the Hall 7 area to the other area. So we have some students following them at the moment, thousands of them. There are others who are gathered in front of Unity Hall at the moment also here. But so far, no disturbances at the moment as we saw earlier.
Well, we've seen pictures circulating on social media of students vandalizing property. Has anyone been arrested in connection with this violence?
About 30 minutes ago, they arrested 2 of the students and put them in a military pickup here. But that is when the students started protesting and going violent. And so warning shots were fired to disperse them. Then, in their own discretion, they allowed them, they released them. So those are the 2 I've seen. But aside that, I've not learnt of any arrest so far.
But how have school authorities been reacting to the violence on campus, Erastus?
Well, the University Relations Officer, Mr. Kwame Abua, described the students as marauding group, and he said that they never anticipated that there would be such violence over here. They expected them to act with decorum to present a petition or so. So the university is going to meet and then take a decision on what to do next.
Destroying everything because of something I consider as harmless. Other people wouldn't say it that way, but they would have the reason to do that. But I see it as harmless. If we add females to a male hall, does it merit this destruction?
What do you think the police could have done to ameliorate the situation?
I am not a policeman. I've never been one before. I'm not a security person. But I know when such things happen, there is a need to offer some protection to life and property. But that wasn't what we saw.
What did you see?
What I saw was people just rampaging, destroying whatever came their way. That was what I saw. Yeah.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, the National Union of Ghana Students has condemned the violence and they are calling on President Akufo-Addo to intervene and constitute a committee to investigate the matter. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba has a copy of their statement and joins me in studio with us. Maxwell, what else is Nook saying?
Well, it says the National Union of Ghana Students has noted with grave concern the molestation and security brutalization of students at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. The union wishes to state in no ambiguous and unequivocal terms that the said act was, to say the least, shameful, irresponsible and undeserving of a university touted as the beacon of hope for the West Africa sub-region and the African continent as a whole. And it continues to say, let me just go straight to the point, which calls on President Akufo. It said NUCS wishes to call on the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the Minister of Education, Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, to, as a matter of urgency, constitute a committee to investigate the matter and bring the perpetrators of this dastardly act to book. book to serve as a deterrent to others who may want to act in such direction.
So that's the latest statement from Nooks. Of course, we'll be following developments at the KNUST and bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. But away from that, desist from buying tilapia from the markets if you're unsure of its source. That's the warning from the Food and Drugs Authority following the destruction of more than 6 tons of tilapia on a Chinese-owned fish farm at Esuchari last Friday. Speaking on the Super Morning Show, Head of Communication at the FDA, James Larty, explained that there is no way the FDA can carry out a market surveillance, especially when the supply chain activities can affect the process. He's, however, urging the general public to remain calm as the FDA carries out its investigations.
If, for instance, you don't know the source, assuming maybe I buy tilapia from maybe shop A, that's why I've been buying tilapia, and I go there, and there are people I trust, and they tell me that, oh no, we don't source it from Esuchari, and I trust them. What don't I buy? Once I know that the people can be trusted, that is why I'm saying that if you are not so sure about it, the best thing is to avoid. That is not to say that we should stay away from tilapia. This fish has been buried, and let's assume people had come for it, and they distributed it. There is no way you can do a market surveillance to find out that this product A or product B has gotten to this site or that site. Unless, of course, maybe the video showed faces and you go looking for the people and arrest them and ask them where you had it from. Unless that. But otherwise, it will be a very difficult thing to say. I know when the results come out, all of us will sit down, discussions will be made, and then if there's a need for some of these decisions to be taken, they will be taken. We should wait for the results to come out. You see, the results will narrow maybe the investigation in a sense that it will lead us towards a certain path. And then an easy decision can be taken to protect every Ghanaian. So I think that we should wait for the results. And then when it comes, we pick it up from there.
James Larty speaks for the Food and Drugs Authority. Meanwhile, Executive Secretary of the Bureau of Public Safety, Nanaya Akwada, says the choice of the disposal method should have been done in consultation with some state agencies.
So the buy-off to say, okay, all persons around Esuchari, we take a certain radius, maybe like 25-kilometer radius of Esuchari. The state is buying tilapia. So if you have tilapia on the market is selling for 10 cedis, the state can say, look, for public safety, we are offering 20 cedis for every tilapia. Then everybody, first of all, they go to the market and mop up and buy these things, and then also open up for purchase and buy these things off. So at least we can minimize the impact that the consumption of this can have on the public.
Nanaya Akwada is Executive Secretary of the Bureau of Public Safety. Now, Joy News investigations have revealed how the identities of hundreds of teachers on study leave have been stolen by fraudsters and reassigned to new service persons. The teachers on study leave often do not do national service after school, but hundreds of them have been impersonated by the fraudulent individuals who use the names and index numbers of the victims to register for the National Service Scheme. Joy News' Manasseh Azoria Winnie has spent time investigating the fraudulent activities of impersonators and reveals the details of the teachers could have been leaked by the association on university campuses.
And that is not my email address.
These pictures are definitely not yours.
They are not mine.
I have come to Kumasi to meet a group of students who have just completed the University of Education, Winneba. These are teachers who took study leave to continue their education and have been posted back to the classroom to teach. They've not enrolled to do their national service, but some persons have used their names and index numbers to register and have been posted to different parts of the country for national service. Evans Boachi Apia currently teaches in the Bono-Ahafo region, but records indicate that he's been posted to the Pandai District Assembly in the northern region.
And I logged in, I got to know that somebody has impersonated me, used my details to register.
With his index number, we log on to the NSS enrollment system, and apart from his name and index number, every other information there belongs to someone else. When Evans called the telephone number used to register in his name, the person said his brother did it for him through a third party.
Yeah, he sold it. He sold the thing to us.
He sold the thing to you.
Yeah. How much did you buy it?
We bought it 550.
The affected students have denied ever giving their details to anyone else. They say their classmates who were not on study leave have not been affected, suggesting whoever used their index numbers to register might have known they were teachers on study leave.
They have their details here.
I went to the Kumasi campus of the University of Education, Winneba, to speak to the executives of the National Association of Teachers on Campus, NATOC. The association has details of teachers on study leave, even though the current and immediate past leaders have denied knowledge of how information of the teachers leaked. The NATOC secretary for the 2014-2015 academic year, Wisdom Kwesi Renchi, said while in office, 2 men came to him and promised to buy details of the teachers on study leave from the Kumasi campus of the university.
They said they will buy a copy each at 300 Ghana cedis, but I told them I will not do it.
You have Manasseh Azaria Winnie's report. Of course, we'll follow this issue to the very bottom and get some answers. But away from that, a 36-year-old cleaner at a school in Tema is now in prison custody for sexually abusing a 7-year-old boy there. The boy, who is in class 1, has been left traumatized and says it was a painful experience as the cleaner inserted his fingers into his anus and also stroked his male organ until he developed bruises. Maxwell Agbagba was in Tema to meet the victim and his family members and has come through with this report.
She pulled my penis and Rajiti sleep on me. He put his hands in my anus and Rajiti put his penis on my ear.
Voice of 7-year-old Kwame, not his real name. He sits quietly as his mates in church answer some biblical questions from their Sunday school teacher. We are now some meters away from the other children. The victim says the cleaner stripped him naked, lied on him, and inserted his fingers in his anus. He says he cried and endured the painful experience as his plea fell on deaf ears.
I went to tell my teacher, and my teacher called my mother and told my mother. It was painful. I told him that he's paining me, and he said I'm lying. It's not paining me, and he said she'll finish right now.
Pictures seen by Joy News show bruises on the male organ of the class 1 pupil. The victim told his uncle the accused stroked his male organ for a long time. He says the 7-year-old boy is traumatized by the October 11 incident.
The moment he get to the entrance of the school, you could say that he panicked. This is a little boy, 7-year-old boy. So psychologically, it is building on her. If we, the parents and the guardians, don't do something to raise that early, it might grow up and then affect him. This is very alarming because this is a 7-year-old boy who doesn't know what is sex. You see, so at that moment, he has got a feeling of what sex is. This boy will grow up, if care is not taken, and with prayers, he will grow up and knows that the only means of enjoying sexually is with another man, which is very, very alarming. And this is a school that we have sent our children to be taken care of when we are at work, working.
Sometime last week, the culprit was handed a 24-month jail term, bringing finality to the pursuit of justice. But the painful experience continued to haunt the class 1 pupil.
Maxwell Agbagba's report. Please permit me to take a quick break. When we return, we'll get to hear from President Akufo-Addo as he reacts to claims about his ill health on social media.
My presence at the brief visit to the military hospital yesterday to visit my brother-in-law has been translated into my collapse. Those whose political fortunes depend on my ill health, all I can say is that we're all in the hands of the Almighty. Amen.
Now, this very moment, it's the pulse of possibility, potential, power. It's time
to make your move.
To take that step.
The time
is now.
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 The great things you do tomorrow start with the small steps you take right now. So take that step with Old Mutual. Call us on 0302 230 638 and make now count. Old Mutual. Do great things every day.
You're still listening to the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM, live on our affiliates across the country, also on myjoyonline.com, also live on Facebook. It's time now for the latest from the world of sports. Read one.
Yes, next month will be very big for women's football on the continent, as Ghana will, for the first time, will host the flagship tournament dubbed the Africa Women's Cup of Nations. Now, the Black Queens are in Group A alongside Algeria, Mali, and then Cameroon. That's a big one there. And then in Group B, we've got the defending champions, Nigeria. They are in there, South Africa, Kenya, and then Zambia will also be playing in Cape Coast. Their reactions coming in on the draw. Head coach of the Black Queens, Bashir Hayford, says it's a favorable one.
I say it is GAM because GAM, Ghana, Algeria, Mali. So it's very GAM to see that we add the C to them. I'm not afraid. We are not afraid of any country at all. Now that we have seen our opponent, now everything is going to be strategic and then tactical. We are doing the whole thing in Ghana. I'm not bothered at all.
Operation Host and Win. Are we on course?
Oh, yes. Of course. That is the slogan for everybody. Once it's coming from every Ghanaian, so be it.
So Baba Tando was speaking to Bashir Hayford there. We have to get gum into the lexicon and see, like how blind me from Pakistan got into the English dictionary. Gum, you know, and explain what is gum.
Is gum. And that's Read One with the latest from the world of sports. Now, some school children have been trapped in their homes after water spilled from the Wager Dam submerged their homes. Some parents had to ferry their children on their backs across the flooded area to school. The Ghana Water Company Limited yesterday spilled excess water from the dam after several warnings to residents to vacate the Wager Dam area. The residents, however, feel relocating their homes will not solve the problem. Rather, they want the Ghana Water Company to construct storm drains to direct the path of the water. Komladum has more.
There is a school child who is being taken on the back of her mother just so they cross this flooded area to make their way to school. Say every other time no. Family for how are you managing them? Are they all in there?
No, on the Yakano, Omutum school. Egu in Panoso, and Panasi now for your bedroom, your kitchen, BBR.
He says his children are also trapped in there. So he was actually just moving out of this place to go and find some food for them to eat. So I'm going to speak to the lady who is currently making her way here with her child. I want to imagine, and the water is almost her knee level. How serious is the situation?
Inside a kitchen.
Many of the people Makasane say or Mumano are inside the rooms. They cannot cross over like the way you are doing with your child. Now, I don't know the dam is spilled every time. Our homes have all been flooded. If I do not carry him to school this way, he wouldn't be able to go to school.
Kamla Adams report there. Now the receiver of defunct UT Bank, Eric Nanapia, or NIPA, has fought off claims the bank is colluding with businessman Alfred Woyome. Deputy Attorney General Godfred Yeboadame had alleged the receiver is frustrating government's quest to satisfy a 51.2 million Ghana cedi debt owed the state by claiming ownership of the residential facilities it has earmarked for sale. Mr. Dame on Monday suggested to the receiver that 1 year after the bank had bought the properties from Mr. Woyome, it granted him a loan using the same properties as collateral, but Mr. Nipa, who was shown documents backing the loan agreement, disagreed. We'll get details of that from our court correspondent later on. Now, policy think tank Imani Africa has described as shocking President Akufo-Addo's launch of a common monitoring platform for telcos, despite the many concerns about costs raised. Imani withdrew a court case challenging the $178 million deal with Kelny GVG because it did not have enough money to push the legal battle. President Akufo-Addo is expected to launch the platform later today. But in a statement issued this morning, Imani says the president must fulfill his promise to cut waste in public spending. Selon Brante is vice president of Imani Africa.
That there needs to be a second look at it, and if anything at all, a delay to the launch be made until certain things that we had tried to look at or try to examine were fully examined, basically to the point where everybody will be satisfied. Because this is a matter of extreme public interest. First of all, because of the magnitude of the cost of the contract, as well as other issues relating to the technical nature of what was being done and whether it could have been done for a better value in terms of pricing, or whether the contract was bamboozled through just to ensure that the high price of that particular contract will remain.
You heard there Selon Brantier is Vice President of Imani Africa. Now, barely 10 years after construction, nearly all the streetlights on the Ebri-Ayi-Mensa Highway have broken down. The Pedrasi Presidential Lodge, which is also on the stretch to Ebri 2, has no streetlights in front of it. For Joy News Agenda this week, looking at streetlights without lights. Justice Bedu takes a ride on the highway to see how broken down lights threaten security in the area.
In daylight, the view from above is stunning. The meandering curves through the lush greens up the hill from Ayi-Mensa to the Ebri Mountains make it even more touristy. But when night falls, this stretch is lonely, dark, and dangerous.
Oh, sorry, this is 20 pesos. It's 50 pesos. Yeah.
I have come to meet middle-aged Anthony Adakwa in a small toll booth taking money from the few cars passing by.
We get scared all the time whilst we are working. There are a whole lot of darkness. If there are some people with the bad mentalities hiding within the darkness, it will cause a lot of threat to us.
As we drive up the hill, fear dawns on me and my crew. There are about 10 curves within this barely 2-kilometer journey, all of it overlooking a silent Accra by night. Most of the metal railings used on the edges of the road to protect the cars have been ripped off, evidence that a lot of cars ran over them, falling into the ditch below the mountains sometimes. Driving on this road could be like walking a tightrope, even for the best of drivers.
Every weekend, people do walk.
Kofi Aiden has been living in Ebri for 20 years and runs a pub up the hill. Even the Pedrasi Presidential Lodge, which is just across the street from where he works, has no street lights at the entrance.
We can't move in the night. Medina community, they are getting their food from where I mentioned, from Adoso, from Nkrakai. Kofodia business people all apply this road. And how can you apply this road in the night without light?
Official accident figures on this road are hard to come by as many go unreported. But some of the residents here told me they've lost count of the number of cars crashing into the metal railings almost every week. This road, otherwise a beauty by the hill, is now a disaster waiting to happen. Justice Bedu, Joy News, on the Ebri-Ayi-Mensa Highway.
Now, those whose political fortunes depends on my ill health and degeneration, all I can say is we're all in the hands of God. Those are the words of President Akufo-Addo, responding to claims on social media that he was rushed to the 37 military hospital after he collapsed yesterday. The president took the opportunity at a cybersecurity program this morning to dismiss the claims. Listen.
Are toxic areas for the Commander-in-Chief. My presence at the brief visit to the military hospital yesterday to visit my brother-in-law, the famous pilot, Captain Paolo Spencer, who's unfortunately there for a hip operation, has been translated into my collapse on the social media in preparation for my evacuation abroad. All I can say is that those whose political fortunes depend on my ill health and degeneration, all I can say is that we're all in the hands of the Almighty. Amen.
And that's President Akufo-Addo. And just before we go, we'll check out what's trending on social media. Maps, how was your weekend?
It was well. It was good. How was yours?
It was good. It was good. What's trending?
KNUST is trending, and at Don_Michael29 says, we saw this coming, but you people didn't mind. We are continentals and we resist oppressors' rule. And at Almighty007 says, since this new administration, KNUST has been trending always for the wrong reasons. Hashtag enough is enough. And at Bra_Kobe says, KNUST is on fire. Hey. Students know their fear. And at wrong_number says, Charlie, this whole thing, this is very bad, and I feel sorry for all the current students.
And that's it for the Midday News, and also live on Joy, on myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apo. Have a productive week.
It's your day.